Oh,
The man
Reggie,
quiet,
here
man.
you
The man quiet.
No, man, I get, I
Good.
in.
There's not a lot of sighing and stretching.
Well, I don't
No, man,
understand.
no.
And then getting
Nothing so at all. Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Hey, guys, how you doing? Welcome to the living room once again. We thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you with us. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend so far. It's me, Andre, here with Mark and Philip. And as usual, we're just going to have another great Caribbean conversation, see where it takes us. So let's just get straight to it. Hey, guys, how's it going?
Yeah, we good.
Someone got the phone ringing there.
That you
Well.
that go up. Well, you know this is live, right?
This is life. This is life. This is how it goes. This is
Me and the
Just
boy
in
don't
case-
call me. The boy don't call me.
That sounds like your house phone too. Funny enough, I can't tell you. Last time my house phone rang to tell you.
No,
You know, I can
man.
sit so now. My phone can ring in like 2
Hey,
minutes.
they ring, yeah. And you know it'd be me calling the number.
I have no doubt that that's exactly what's going to be the case, right? As soon as I say that, you guys can call me. So how's
Yeah,
it
man.
going, guys? How you guys doing?
We good, man. We good. You know,
Okay.
end of 2 weeks off.
Yeah, that
You
2
know?
weeks fly pretty fast.
I went quick.
Man, too quick. But you know, I think I feel I had a good time, relaxing. Can't complain. You know, I think I did most of the things I was supposed to do. So, but don't let the wife hear you say that.
Well, you just said it to the entire planet.
A few days I called you, I think you were painting, all kinds of stuff I saw you doing, man. You
No,
finished?
look.
You get through?
Jeez, right. Man, yeah, the painting is done. In fact, the living room, the living room got a bit of a makeover, so that was good, really good. But got some big work there coming at me now, so we got
What do you mean
to
house
see how.
painting? I thought you were like painting portraits or
Come
something
off of
like
it,
that.
man. Nah,
No,
I'm not a fine artist. I'm not a fine artist. I could paint your house for you, but don't give me a canvas.
I can imagine. But I know off for a week or so, actually, because,
You
school
off
start
this
back.
coming week?
I off this week, man, because Alex going to secondary school.
Oh
so she
yes,
started,
of course,
so
of course.
I just been off to help with that.
You guys know we're cutlass.
But she's very excited. So I just decided,
No, that's
let
great.
me take a week off and let me help with that transition. Not just, of course, because she's going to secondary school, but obviously COVID protocols, all that kind of stuff. I don't think anyone has a clue how that's going to work. So it's best that I don't have work to deal with and we can just help sort her out with that.
Navigate it together. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So it should be good.
Man, that's great.
that's
I look forward to hearing your stories on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be pretty interesting. But I
we
see,
have-
feel like you say like it coming out of lockdown, man.
Yeah, finally. So there are a few areas, different areas like Stockport, Trafford area, and so on that are slowly easing restrictions. So that's a good sign. Next week is going to be very telling, though, or this week, whatever your perspective is, as kids go back into school. And there's also loads of encouragement for people to start reoccupying office spaces and so on. And to be honest, here in Manchester, as we move around, the only time you see people social distancing is when they encounter a sign to remind them.
You got that right. And
Wearing a mask. Yeah.
Not even that. I went into a store the other day looking at some school shoes. Big and bold at the front of the company had masks are mandatory.
Yeah.
First person I met had no mask on them. And that was a
course.
member staff.
Yeah.
People walking behind me and all in the store had nothing on. I just don't think anybody's bothering now, actually.
Yeah. I think people are over that now. Yeah.
But Phil, I know that you done read the government guidance on education and return to school back to front, because I know that you would want to make sure you're in line with this here.
I wish I could say I did.
Don't worry, nobody will.
And that is the problem.
Yeah.
But to be honest, our school is really good. The head is an excellent. I'm not just saying that because he might happen upon this broadcast, but he's really well organized. Good board of governors as well. So I'm kind of trusting their protocols and the documentation coming out there. The only thing we're sort of on the fence about at the moment is about wearing mask. So I think
mask not mandatory.
Yeah, so staff are definitely going to be wearing in some situations, but not for students and kids. And generally, kids and mask, that just seems like a recommendation and not a thing that's ever going to be stipulated.
You can imagine if we were going to school and we were told we could wear masks, what I would have been like. We might have been having some fun, you know?
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard for kids to stick to those protocols.
For sure.
That'd be pretty difficult. And even for
sure.
parents to get the kids to stick with it. You can imagine how much mask you need to buy to deal with the kids coming home losing all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be difficult, man.
Yeah.
See that.
So listen, I would like to shout out a couple of people on our Facebook page early this evening. You know,
Yeah, go ahead, man.
we had a couple of people who responded back about what's going on across the region that you want to hear mentioned in the living room this Sunday. So I would just like to shout out Arlene Johnson from you know, she mentioned about Trinidad and Tobago opposition, and of course that the opposition got named this week, and she was talking about obstructionist politics, which was very interesting.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Within an hour saying we are here to support the government and to make sure things run smooth, within like 2 hours you're like objection, sorry. Yeah. And then there was Kershel Mike talking about, and it was an interesting point she raised about political debates and why don't we have political debates across the Caribbean in regards to elections. I thought it was quite a valid point as well. Picking up on the ones in Jamaica.
Yes. And there was a common theme between her and Don Fotherington talking about the CPL. And you know, the CPL has been ongoing into empty stadiums. And you really got to wonder why we haven't really cracked that we should be our own bubble and at least filling some of these stadiums and these games, you know?
This is the conversation that we've been having now, you know, last week especially, but for previous weeks as well. If we treated ourselves as our own bubble, recognizing, you know, that what we always say, we seem to be the region that's dealt with this pandemic the best.
Yeah.
If we are our own bubble, then our people are free to move, and our internal, by internal I mean regional, our regional economy can get going. And CPL would have been a good way to capitalize on that. And the new airlines that are now trying to, you know, pick up the slack from Liat would also have gotten a little bump as they try to navigate new routes and what's not across the region. So I think this is one that we dropped the ball on, no pun intended, but
Listen, you say ball. You know, my man had lunch this week, Phil.
Yes.
And he was waxing lyrical about cricket. And that I was blown away because all of a sudden this man is in cricketing space. You know, that's you know what I mean?
This is not a sudden thing. Everybody here that I meet and they ask me about cricket, I said, well, you know, every person in Barbados play cricket at some point.
Man, you never used to play the cricket.
I used to play cricket at home.
I never hear for that talk about playing cricket yet.
I had to talk about
A few
it.
times I probably ever see maybe the young, it didn't look right.
No.
I don't remember you ever facing one of my off spins.
But this is it. This is it. I just can't remember it. But a few times I remember saying, yeah, he's playing volleyball.
You know what? November is going to be interesting. When we finally get together, the
I hear
first
this.
thing we do it.
That's true. That's true. You guys thought that.
I keep hearing this. One of the other things you dropped there just now was about Liat. Did you see that the Antigua government has decided to write off 8.5 million in debt for Liat this week?
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know what's gonna happen with this one. This is one of these sagas that's gonna continue going on. It'll be interesting to see where we end up where Liat is concerned. Over the years, obviously, everyone knows Liat has been an issue now for many years. Obviously, it just come to fruition this particular episode. But it's gonna be interesting to see where we land on Liat. And how Antigua proceeds with it. 'cause
full of
clearly
puns
they're not
today,
letting it
man.
go.
Man, yeah. How we land? Dropping the ball.
The funny thing is, I didn't even pick up on that one.
Gee.
See,
Yeah.
I ain't just pretty. I ain't just pretty.
And our friend last week's show with our friend Rhoda was absolutely phenomenal, and we got to shout her out today because Rhoda has been holding those politicians in Trinidad, keeping their feet to the fire, man.
Feet to the fire.
And I see tomorrow now, and I know we got quite a few Trinity peoples watching us this evening, so don't forget your mask tomorrow, guys.
Oh yes. I watched that news conference actually. So masks are no mandatory.
Absolutely.
For a moment there, I thought it was going to be some kind of lockdown situation. When the press conference was called, I was like, "Ooh, another lockdown happening here." But I think everyone knows the role that masks play now. So we have to see how people do.
Yeah.
In fact, it would be good to see what some of our Trinity friends in the audience, who are in the stream today, think about it. So we'll see as we go.
We'll see as we go, and then you see what happened with Jamaica there regarding the UK and coming off their list and stuff.
So is
as
Jamaica
well.
off your list now? Or still
Yeah,
on?
so Jamaica's
Okay.
got a quarantine and stuff now as well. So interesting to see what's happening there. I don't know if any of y'all caught the debate last night. Have you?
Too late for me, man. It was 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock this morning, so I missed that one. You
I
get it?
picked
Any?
it up this morning, man. I picked
Oh,
it
man,
up this
good.
morning when I was repairing the stairs.
Hey! Oh, yes!
Knew
I don't
Knew you
even
had
know
to
if we
fit that
share
in.
this with the audience, but anyhow, but when I was repairing these stairs, I was listening. So it was interesting. It was I must admit, it was quite disappointing, actually. I must admit, I'm not really close to Jamaican politics, and I didn't watch the previous two debates. But this one, to me, it was a art and dodgeball, man. I think everybody was dodging every question that was coming their way. To me, the stars were actually the journalists asking the questions. I thought they asked some really good questions, really direct questions. I don't think I heard one direct answer yet, actually. So it was. I left there wondering what's going on.
Well, Oh yes, Kershel. We haven't forgotten. We know that Trinidad will be celebrating 58 years of independence tomorrow, and we want to wish all of our Trinity friends a wonderful and happy Independence Day tomorrow. Stay safe, guys, and be careful. So listen, who have we got in the living room this week?
Well, let's tee it up here and how we get to this. Because everyone always asks how we come to the topics, because some of them are a bit left of center, but actually a conversation that people wanted. And people always go, well, how y'all come up with it and knew that we actually wanted to talk with it? Well, one of the things, as you know, when you travel around the region, matter of fact, you don't even have to travel around the region. In just casual conversation with people from the other islands, you get to hear a little bit of insight as to how some people think, how Trinese might think about Bajans, how Bajans might think about Trinese.
Got me fish.
Might think about exactly that kind of stuff. And then when we were preparing for what he shows, it just hit me how people are just moving around. And I'm like, you know what would be interesting? Let's explore that. But from people who've actually moved, we said move island, but we're going to make sure we don't offend Belize, Guyana, and Suriname as well, which are not islands. But how people are when they move around the region. What have they found?
Change
How have they
territory.
been welcomed? What's different? What's similar? What can we learn? Was it as they expected or was it vastly different? How did they feel about the food? All that kind of stuff. So we thought, let's have that conversation in the living room. Let's have a full-on Caribbean conversation. And that's what we're going to do today. So today we got Marlon Charles, who's a Trinidadian living in Barbados, and he's been there for a while now. And married to a Bajan. So that's going to be an interesting conversation.
Hot.
Indeed. You got Peter. Now, Peter's moved all around the region. but he's a St. Lucian, but he's now in Trinidad. Ooh, that's going to be interesting
Gone down
there as
south.
well. Indeed. And then we got Cosmos. Cosmos is a Grenadian who's living in St. Lucia. So we're going to have a really interesting, I feel this one going to be serious in the comments this week as well. So it's going to be
Yes.
interesting to hear. And guys, join in. Just to set up again, Where We Global, this is the living room. This is what we do. Every weekend we have Caribbean conversation about a variety of different topics and what's not. So feel free to share, get your friends involved in the conversation, like our page here on Facebook or on YouTube, as well as Instagram and Twitter. That's We Global Media. And just join in the conversation. That's what we do. We want to, what was your phrase, Mark, last week?
Make the Caribbean smaller,
Caribbean
man.
smaller.
We coining that. We coining that. We gotta get that
absolutely.
up in lights all over the place. And this is what we do to help make the Caribbean smaller as we learn about each other and talk with each other as well.
For
So
sure.
we're gonna bring the guys in.
Yeah, man. Open the door.
Let the
Gentlemen.
breeze come through.
Good day, good day, good day.
Hello, hello.
How we
Afternoon,
doing,
everyone.
man?
Good afternoon on my side.
Yeah, man. Good to see you all. And Cosmos, how are you there in St. Lucia, man? How's life?
Oh, perfect. Can't complain. Can't complain. Enjoying it. Good weather.
You got good sunshine today?
Let's check and see.
Hey, hey.
Okay.
Serious surveillance there.
Well, yeah. We had some
Nobody
showers
is
a while
sneaking up
ago.
on you.
man, this is fantastic.
Yeah, the rain hold up a little bit now. Yeah. So,
Great
yeah.
stuff.
That's good. That's good.
And Marlon, yourself there in Barbados, all is well?
All is well, man. Giving thanks. We actually having a wonderful day today. We have nice blue skies, and it's a good day today. Yesterday was very rainy, but giving thanks.
You got any fish? Yo.
Oh no, don't go there. Don't go there.
Mark, even
You see,
even
you're
5 minutes in, Mark,
starting
man.
talk already.
So, Marlon, you live in the Tonga country.
How to answer that? I live very close to Sheraton Mall.
Oh,
Okay.
that,
In between.
that's Stone
Yeah,
Free. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Tongue-ish.
Yeah.
But we still have, chickens running all about. I mean, you go anywhere in Barbados and you must see a chicken. You're in Oystons, chicken running.
is
You're in
true.
Yui, you see a chicken running around. So, we country.
And Peter, you there? How you doing?
Well, if you want to put it good, should I say good night to you guys and good afternoon to the rest of the world joining us. I'm on a high simply because today it was a Zouk affair, if that's the best way to put it.
Zouk.
Zoom.
Yeah. The Barbadians, the Trident went under.
It got broken.
Oh, okay.
But it was broken.
Dispatched, not broken, dispatched. couldn't make 92.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
we took pity. We scored just 92 and said, well, let's give them 2 points. And then they just couldn't do it.
Wow. Shameful.
All right, we're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
talking cricket for the rest of this show today. Then. Let's
No.
put it out.
No.
Peter.
After
That's a shame. That's my topic.
After all, I heard when Andre dropped the ball, when Andre said Philip couldn't play cricket. I know cricket would be a very hard topic for you, Philip. So
Man, don't let him fool you, Peter. He don't know nothing about cricket. I telling you.
He don't know nothing, man.
You'll
He
see
don't
as we progress. I'm telling the truth.
so we have good. So we're good in the CPL. So we should be at least sending home the defending champions very early.
Aye. Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
The Tridents, we'll remove them from the bubble.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Whoa.
This man come on here with fighting talk, man.
Yeah,
Aye,
man.
boy, aye. We will leave you in the capable hands of the comments.
Yeah.
Come
back.
More due diligence on our guests, man.
And I know my Trini friends will say yes, they're on top, followed by the Zooks. That's all they'll say.
Fair enough. So
Yeah,
listen, across the Caribbean, at home in the Caribbean,
That's where we are.
that's what we're talking about today, man. Because as we mentioned briefly there in the intro, there can be healthy tension between us as island nations and the other nations in the South. But sometimes that can be a bit misguided. Sometimes it can be misunderstood. But we thought who best to understand and talk about the experience and share the stories than the people who've done it. And perhaps Cosmos, you with being born in Grenada, you haven't left the OCS, but you have made St. Lucia your home. What's the story, man?
Man, the thing is, my father thought it'd be best if I, go to the States, the land of opportunity. I went in the States 3 times, and I came back to Grenada. Didn't like it after a month. So he said, well, that's it. I wash my hands from you. In Grenada, you stay. And let me see. In 2004, I met a guy from St. Lucia. He came to Grenada, and he was actually talent searching and actually doing a TV commercial for a bank in Grenada. And we met, and he said, look, there's a production company in St. Lucia, and we've seen he saw my work, television commercials, television production, audio editing, video editing, and even some IT stuff as well. And he said, look, well, about moving to St. Lucia for a while. We have a nice job there for you, good salary, everything. And if you like it, you stay. If not, you go back to Grenada. I said, okay. So in June 2004, I said, all right, I'll make a move. I came up for a week, actually. It was my first time in St. Lucia. And
you never visited before?
No. And came up for a week. I said, I think I like the vibes. My favorite drink was Guinness. And in Grenada, Guinness was like $5. When I came to St. Lucia, Guinness was $2.79.
You can still remember.
Decision made.
Yeah, exactly.
Cost of living already coming down.
Every day is 2 for 1.
Exactly.
So I decided, okay, but I left all my equipment and stuff in Grenada, because I wasn't sure if I really want to, move everything over to St. Lucia. And Hurricane Ivan hit in September.
Oh, yeah.
And that devastated Grenada.
Yep. And I went back just after the hurricane. All my equipment, everything gone. I remember picking up a hard drive and just rusty water dripping from it. And I said, all right. Well, that's it. Going back to St. Lucia. Yeah. And I made St. Lucia my home. My operations manager at the company here in St. Lucia, she's now my wife.
Aye.
Okay.
Boy.
That was a load. That was a load.
You definitely took advantage of St. Lucia.
Oh yes.
You got free Guinness. You got life.
Oh yeah.
Wife was the boss. All kind of thing.
Wow.
But you know what surprised me? The St. Lucian guy, when we spoke, he said things like, they speak patois, but not so much. You hardly hear it in the countryside and this kind of thing. So I was like, okay, all right. But when I came to St. Lucia, the taxi drivers on the airport were speaking patois. Oh, yeah, John, I hear in patois. So I was
going to say, that sounds surprising to say that.
I wondering if I'm going to survive here, with this kind of language. And but patois become my secret weapon. But actually, well, it's no longer a secret if I say why now. But I learned the patois. Maybe I could understand probably 70% of it, 60-70%. But I don't let people know. So when they speak, they speak it around me.
Oh, you sneak.
I pretend I don't know what I'm talking about.
You understand it secretly, in stealth.
You recording without permission.
And are you able to respond as yet?
Hour.
You understand? That's his foreign language.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
man.
Interesting. Marlon, what about yourself? You know, what's your journey like from Trinidad to Barbados?
A very interesting one. It began in 1995 actually, and I attended a youth conference, and that was just the beginning of it. I came to Barbados and I just fell in love. I made some great friends, and we maintained that friendship. They visited Trinidad multiple times. They love to shop. So, and yes, let's just say that
Really?
was their second home.
Bajans love the shop.
Curtains,
Understand.
whatever they needed, everything was basically bought in Trinidad. So they came multiple times. And when I say curtains, you know, it is females I'm talking about. And actually, one of them,
I like curtains.
okay, one of them actually ended up becoming my wife. So from
This is the-
1995.
Recurring
This is a trend here already.
Well, here's what happened, right?
Give me the story, man.
She also came to Trinidad and fell in love. Again, that was the spot. You got everything there when it comes to so many choice when it comes to food. I mean, I love Trinidad for one thing. When you're talking food and you want to go down and cross or go anywhere, go around the savannah, there is so much choices. That's one thing I miss about Trinidad. So when you look at it, she came, she could shop, she could eat, she could do all these different things, and then she ended up going to UE. So within that 3 years or so, the relationship kind of like built, and that was it. That was history. So at the end of that, it ended up in an engagement, and in 2004 January, we got married. So it was easy for me. I was like, okay, Barbados.
You got a big catch.
Yeah. So
Nice.
so I was trying to help the flying fish issue. You hear me, right?
Yeah, man.
All right. So
I was gonna ask who
moving
was
to
who fishing who
Barbados.
waters because it was like
Right.
who was you went to Barbados first, then she went to Trinidad.
Well, we were the peacekeeping force, so we would try and just make peace here. So I'm a
Brilliant.
Trinibadian.
Aye.
But basically, that's been it. It's been 16 years or so, and I basically settled. I love here. I moved from more or less a fast pace. I was at one of the hospitals, a technical operator. I used to hustle on the other side, doing my own little landscaping. But there was always something for me doing. I was always on the go. And when I came here, I love just the pace.
The piss.
Yeah, I mean, for us, when you're going to the beach, you're going to Maracas, Bacon Shack, and we're going into the beach. Right now, within 5 minutes, I go to a beach that is, sorry, let me not bad talk Trinidad, but a beach.
Better not.
Maracas,
Watch your tongue.
yeah, let me be careful, right?
We know where you're going.
I mean,
Your
you can
citizenship will get
drive
revoked.
and just get to a beautiful beach within minutes. And I love that. So it's a small island. It's a nice space. And that's it for me. I just love it here. The adjustment too for me was the food, or lack of food, because there is so much options in Trinidad. And I now got accustomed, and I'm very accustomed to eating peas and rice.
Aye.
So if it doesn't have peas in the rice,
You had that today? You had that today?
Not as yet.
It's coming.
It's coming. But it's a late lunch.
Put on a cuckoo as yet.
But no.
You can't get a fish.
Come on. But I've embraced that. So you miss the callaloo, you miss those things. But you say what? This is it.
Yeah.
This is life. But I'm loving it. It's a beautiful country, and
Awesome.
I love the people. There is a bittersweet about living here. You'll always get that. But say what? Anywhere you go, you would have your good. You would have your negative. But I love it.
We can come to the stories, man. Don't worry. We can come to the stories.
Indeed.
I let Peter tell these stories.
Well, we can get to him now because
You know, Peter got a lot.
I know he got enough stories, but don't give me the stories yet. Let me understand what the journey has looked like for you
journey.
as well. Tell us about the journey first, Peter.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, as you, how do I put it? As a St. Lucian, born St. Lucian, a twin, I left St. Mary's College and then decided to go to my father's place. My father's place, in this case, is Dominica. My father is Dominican.
Okay.
My mother was St. Lucian. My father was Dominican. My mother was St. Lucian. And I went to Dominica. It was nice, exciting. Then while in Dominica, Julian Rogers decided that he must get me to come to Montserrat to work. Having lived in Dominica for 10 years, he decided I must come to Montserrat and work at Radio Antilles. So I jumped on the board and gone across to Antilles. And while in Montserrat, well, to let you know, I left a hurricane after Hurricane Hugo, had mashed up Dominica. Julian said, well, now you have no choice because I wasn't so much interested in going.
Wow.
And I jumped across to Montserrat, working at Radio Antilles. And after 3 years there, Hurricane Hugo decided, well, you got to move again. And it flew me up to Barbados.
Wow.
So I stayed up in Barbados for 3 years, working with the Caribbean News Agency, which is now part of Caribbean Media Corporation. But before that, I went to school in Germany. Then I went to school in Jamaica at UWI, and then went across to London at Essex. That's my stomping ground,
You
Essex.
and Philip have something in common.
Where were you in Germany?
as
Which
well.
part of Germany were you?
Berlin.
Berlin.
itself.
Okay, Sunday
And-
capital.
In London, I was at City University doing my masters, and I liked Essex, even though they had, when I was there, the song "Essex Girls Are the Nicest." I cannot attest to that. Please.
I mean, me neither. Me neither.
And I never lived in London, so
Well, Barrow lived the closest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I came back to the Caribbean because even when I was living, the late Hugh Crosskill said, well, you're already in London. You have part of your family in London, because my sister and brother live in London, in Essex. And they said, well, why don't you say? And I said, no, not one hell. He said, think about it. I said, okay. I went to do my exams Friday. It finished around 3:30. Time for 4 o'clock, I was inside British Airways paying the £50 to change my flight to go down the next day.
Oh, you're ready to go.
Yeah. I like going to London for a holiday, but not to live. I don't know why. And then I came back to the Caribbean and then ended up in Trinidad. Trinidad, and well, I'm married now in Trinidad over 29 years.
Oh,
How I put it?
you get a little snicker there.
You gotta, I don't know if they said about Trinidad ladies, but you gotta, somebody
yeah,
gotta
boy.
tell me what that means.
I like that. My wife works at the University of the West Indies.
right.
She's one of the senior lecturers there. Well, my life is between Barbados and Trinidad because I do go back to headquarters. I'm the editor now of the Caribbean Media Corporation, CMC. So I do go back and forth, spend like 3 months or what have you in Barbados and then come back. Use the CARICOM situation of not getting a work permit for 6 weeks or six. You know, you're allowed to stay for 3 months, so I go for that and come back and what have you. So
Right.
basically, that's it in a nutshell. Very close nutshell.
Well, let's explore that point because sometimes people don't always understand the rules and what can you do and how easy it is to actually move from one place to another. So
And why some of them rules in place?
yeah, so you just mentioned there you got, is it 3 months you said?
Well, because of CARICOM under the CARICOM Single Market and Economy that allows for the free movement of goods, skills, and what have you. And when they say people, I think they categorize in the first instance university graduates and what have you, because
There's a banding.
there's a band within which you could travel, and you're allowed to move. Unlike the OECS countries, like my Grenadian friend, he could come to St. Lucia and he didn't need, he doesn't
Work
need a work permit or anything like that. Because under the OECS, we are what you call a little one union, like the European Union, we one union. So you can move between the OECS countries, work,
Freely.
live and work freely in there. But in the wider CARICOM countries, you would have to have they allow you to come in for 3 months, but then you have to have a skills certificate that will allow you. You don't need a work permit once you get the skills certificate. But then in some countries, you have problems getting that skills certificate. So what some people do, like, would go in for 3 months because they are afforded 3 months to go into the country. They go into the country for 3 months and
So
then
the
come
skills-
out, and in that time, the skills certificate could come on board.
So is that centrally issued or is that issued by
No,
the
well, it's
employer?
issued basically in each country. Like if,
Yeah, well,
if you're living from St. Lucia,
Yeah, I got one from Grenada, and
Right.
because of the length of time I'm in St. Lucia, I also have one here from St. Lucia. So I can go to Dominica and other islands from St. Lucia. Although I'm residing in St. Lucia, but born Grenadian, I can still go to the other islands and work. Yeah.
Right.
but you still have the little niggling problems. I could remember going into St. Kitts because I always tell people I like my passport, my St. Lucian passport. I do not change it for
Oh
nothing.
yeah, I still have my Grenada passport. I haven't changed it.
Yeah.
That's 16 years.
Like
I
my
still have my
St. Lucian
Grenada passport.
It affords me at least the opportunity to go into London and Canada and these places without asking what's the purpose of your visit and so forth.
Yeah.
And I'm going into St. Kitts to cover CARICOM Summit. And when I reach, the immigration fellow tell me, how long you intend to be? What's the purpose of your visit? I said, but look, I'm a St. Lucian.
Yeah.
So why are you asking me that? He said, no. These politicians say that, but we don't have the thing as yet at the time.
Wow.
So, what's the purpose of your visit? So I said, well, I'm here to cover CARICOM meeting. He said, okay, we'll give you, it's 4 days, we'll give you 6 days.
Well,
I said, no problem, go in and go out. It didn't matter. Know what I mean? But now I think it's better. I mean, I don't want to say it for my Trinidadian friends to kill me. I get the same problem anytime I'm entering Trinidad. At the back of my passport has the note, I'm a resident, I have resident status and what have you.
yeah.
And every time I come in, the
get
immigration
the
officer
question.
will ask me, what's the purpose of your visit? Yeah. They had once, I was coming in from Antigua.
This sound like a story coming here now.
Yes, very good. I was
I think
coming
it's
in from
Go for it,
Antigua.
man.
Important.
Go for it.
I was coming in from CARICOM in Antigua, CARICOM Summit, and I was coming in with Derek Ramsamuj, a political analyst in Trinidad. And I said, Derek, every time I come into your country, they keep asking me, what's the purpose of your visit? What's the purpose of your visit? I say, listen, when you hear they ask me that, So, we both reached to the same booth, immigration. He on one side, I on the other side. And the lady look at me and say, sir, what's the purpose of your visit? So he jumped across and he said, no, please, don't ask him that. Don't ask him. So I said, no. She asked me, I'll answer. So I said, well, I'm here to have sex. She said, what? I said, yes, I'm here to have sex. So she looked at me. I'm serious, sir. I said, but I'm serious. What's wrong? I cannot have sex with Trinidadian women. What's wrong? She said, sir, I'm asking you again, what's the purpose of your visit? And I'm stern faced. And I said, well, I'm here to have sex. So she called the supervisor. Supervisor comes. Supervisor looks at me and he says, sir, the lady is asking what's the purpose of your visit. Now, the problem I have in Trinidad is that I used to do a radio show on a Sunday, very popular one on a Sunday, on one of the more popular radio stations there. So my voice would probably be known. So the fellow looked at me and he said, so what's the purpose of your visit? So I said, well, what's wrong? But I told her what it is. So he looked at me quizzically and he said, he looked down at the passport again and he looked at me. Look at me. And he looked at the immigration lady and he says, lady, stamp the boy, let him go in, please. Because next minute he's going to go on the radio. He's going to go on the radio and say we prevent him from coming in. So she vexed and she's stamping my passport. So I said, well, I don't know why you're vexed. She said, but I asked you what's the purpose of this. But I said, I fill out the immigration form. It had everything. It says where I'm living and everything.
Yeah.
And if you look at marital status, it says, I am married.
Married
So what
Catherine.
do you tell you? Yeah, I'm married.
It was gonna happen. that's a wider issue though as to how we treat each other when
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
moving across borders, right?
Yeah.
Despite
I was gonna
you
say,
know,
Andre, even when I go home, I use my Barbados passport. The fact that I'm no longer resident in Barbados, I still get asked,
You
"What's
still
the
get
purpose of your visit?" Yeah,
Yeah.
I say just go and see my parents.
Yeah.
I think I got that once, and I think I put on the most rawest Bajan accent you could ever think. But I think they thought I figured it out, and I was just making sport at them. So
That is
that was
true.
a good conversation. I had to be
I think the
right
next
after.
time I in Barbados and they ask me that, I going down Peter Line though, for sure. My wife is a
Make sure you're
Bajan.
traveling alone. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna send that as a private comment, but
I know what I mean, man.
we really
got you.
must treat ourselves better when we're moving across the borders. Because you're right there, Peter, in that the immigration officer said to you, the politicians say one thing,
Yeah.
you know, but does it ever really trickle down to what's happening on the front line? You know, so that's a real issue there, that disconnect. So we really got to find a way to get past that and make sure that we got a little bit of a smoother movement across the borders. Makes no sense at this point
Yeah.
yeah.
in 2020, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
Marlon.
I think we have to not only put in place these mechanisms and policies, we have to put it in place quicker,
Yes.
much quicker. I mean,
There's
for
no need for it to
example,
take so long.
the CARICOM leaders would say, okay, we agree to free movement of skills of these people and what have you. And when you come to test it,
Which immigration knows nothing about it.
it has not been
Yeah.
passed or approved in the National Assembly.
Yeah.
So if it's not been approved in the National Assembly, there's no way going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask Marlon, do you generally feel welcomed in Barbados? Like you've got past immigration now, you're in, your passport is stamped, but you feel welcomed.
One of the I have
Can
to
be
tell
honest.
you, this is kind of layered. It have layers to this question.
Yeah.
In my first interaction, it was a little bit bumpy, and I have to go back to the immigration because I remember getting. I wanted to get extension for just probably a couple of days so I could have continued. I was doing premarital counseling, and when I went to get that extension, just to stay a couple of weeks for a session, the lady looked at me and said, "You can't stay here. There's a small rock. Go and come back next week." But one of the things I admire too when I first came in terms of the people was the warmness of the people. I find it was so beautiful going around and you could stop. And I even looked at the tourists driving around and just asking questions, and everybody was so willing to help them. But I think when it came to us, in terms of individuals from other Caribbean
Oh,
islands,
that's interesting.
that's when you found a tinge of people being a little bit xenophobic. So I did too. As you say, it's a bittersweet for me. I said earlier on, you have some experience where I could say there's some of the most phenomenal people I've met here, but I also got people on the other side of the spectrum too. So it's a funny thing, but I think what we have to work on is understanding we are all individuals. And Barbadians, when I sit down, I tell people my great-great-grandfather left Barbados, worked on the Panama Canal, and settled in Trinidad. All right? So that's one side of my family. The other side of my family, in terms of my great-grand, they came from Grenada. So I'm connected to the Charles in Grenada.
I was gonna say your last name is a very Grenadian last name.
Right, that's correct. So I think sometimes we need to remember that we are not just people that we came from somewhere. So we need to also bear in mind when we treat others to keep that in remembrance.
But that's something that should also be borne in mind, even from a political perspective, when we're looking at integration and how we can be closer together, and how we can always make this movement a little easier. Because so many people, I've heard this story so many times of people who their grandparents twice or once removed actually moved around. And from Barbados or Trinidad and went somewhere else, or lots of Barbadians in Guyana, for example, that might have been there from the 70s and what's not. And then there's the Panama link. People went to Panama but came back and settled somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we're not behaving as if we're actually one, and we are. And there's so many examples, like you just said, Marlon, to say that we are one. So what's the issue?
No, even when I trace my my roots, my grandmother's father He came from Carriacou, and his family and stuff came from. I think he actually came from Saint Lucia. And when I came to Saint Lucia, I realized they're Joseph here, and people in Saint Lucia, they behave as if they saw me somewhere before already. They have about three guys looks exactly like me here in Saint Lucia. And many times people talking to me as if, they know me for a long, and I'm trying to remember, where the hell I know this person? But yeah, we all look, about three of us here, we all look alike. It's the same height, talk the same way, same body language, everything.
That's it.
Wow.
That's funny. But Marlon, come back to you again. So when you moved to Barbados, how was that welcome? I know you went ahead a little bit there, but how was the initial welcome? I know you were in church and what's not. How did that go as you move around Barbados and speak to people? How was that?
Well, generally, I think it was a good one. Generally, a good one. But you mentioned church, and I have to even give a tinge there because I remember having an experience at one of our cell group where we went to. And when the lady discovered that I was a Trinidadian, I mean, the lady literally went off. And she talked about the flying fish. She talked about you coming here and they're taking everything. They're buying up the business and the bank. And the lady just went off and off. I mean, literally to the point where we had to say, we will leave. Because, I mean, we were in her house.
Really?
So we just say, we're going to leave. But this lady was very, very literally annoyed at
Really?
Trinidadians.
Wow.
I mean, it was a very touchy subject around the time of the whole flying fish issue, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people taking that issue, and then we move into the let's say now where you have
Massey.
companies like Massey now is a conglomerate. I can't say it just for Barbados. Come on, you'll see it in St. Lucia. I remember being in St. Lucia, let's say at the beginning of the year, and I probably saw one Massey. I went back probably a couple months later, and then there were so many Masseys in multiple places in St. Lucia. So Massey's moving across the Caribbean, but then you find people. I mean, you stand up in the bank and you're in the line and you're afraid to even say anything because the people in front of you have a conversation going about these trees.
Yes.
And this tree is this and this tree is that. And I would get, okay, don't even answer if they say anything. Because if they hear the accent, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember even being in passport office, myself and a Guyanese national. I was renewing my Barbadian passport. And the people heard us talking. And they start off, you all should be paying more money to renew. And and they went off and off. But other than that, I think there are some lovely people. But it's a mixed bag, I would say.
And do these just this whole issue of health, I'll call it healthy tension, right? Because as somebody rightfully said in the comments, we have a love-hate relationship with some territories. But do we have similar healthy tensions in the OECS, Cosmos and Peter? Do we have some nations who have those same type of issues?
I think in all the OECS countries, just like in all the CARICOM countries, we have this love-hate relationship to some extent.
Right.
I could remember living and working in Montserrat, and I always tell people, if I'm to retire tomorrow, before the Montserrat volcano and what have you, Montserrat would be the ideal place for me to go. It was
Really?
nice.
Why is that?
Why is that?
It's small, clean, nice, very, very beautiful and everything. But the people, when they get vexed with you, they let you know that they get vexed with you. Because
So there's honesty.
And they have a phrase. They have a phrase which they would use. Made a bang no water. Made a bang water come here. And I think the Antiguans also use that.
Made a bang water if you come here.
Yeah, they don't come by boat or to come here, or they don't come from over. They're born here, so they're letting you know. But generally, and I think what has saved us in the Caribbean, despite our differences, our language in Suriname or what have you, the fact as Caribbean people, we tend to see the world in a more jovial, I put it this way, jovial way than let's say somebody from England or somebody from
Don't take
the
yourself
United
too serious,
States.
overly so.
Yeah, we do. We do take ourselves
take
very
yourself
serious.
Very serious,
but it's
yeah.
the
As a matter of fact,
the approach.
I always tell my friends here in Trinidad, if I am a businessman and a union calls a strike in Trinidad, I am sitting back, I'm laughing. Because that was the first, I mean, when I came to Trinidad and I saw a strike, I said, but hell, this is a carnival.
Yes.
What they do, they set up a tent. And the fellas will go, let's say they're going to be picketing your office. So they go and they picket your office for around 10, 20 minutes, walk around and they're singing, they're playing the music. And they like to say, let's say, Andre is hiding, and they're singing and they're singing. And then after 15, 20 minutes, they go under the shed, they're playing dominoes, they're cooking food, they're doing this. I mean, it's like a line, it's a social event with a very serious
thing.
implication. Very serious, very, very, very serious. But the manner in which they do it, for example, I saw strikes. Yeah, I saw strikes in Barbados. I saw strikes in St. Lucia and what have you. And to some extent, it's tear gas. I mean, you've seen union fellows sweating as though they walk 10 miles and what have you, and they're always rough and grumble and what's going on. But in Trinidad, it's like they say, the carnival is a valve to open out, to let the steam go out. So I think that's what it is.
This jovial outlook, why is this a common thing across the Caribbean? I'm wondering, do you think that this sort of light-hearted look at the world, this lens of the world that we use as Caribbean people, do you think there's a defense mechanism? Or that this has evolved?
I think one, for example, and I used to tell my students that, for example, I say, let's look at China.
Yeah.
Here's a man here's a government based in China, in Beijing, telling somebody in Huazhongpeng that may be taking 5 time zones to reach, but still in China. Yeah. But you'll stay in Beijing and tell this man in Huazhongpeng, do not leave your house after 6 o'clock. There's a curfew. And the man would respect that. You come and tell that to any Caribbean man. A Caribbean man living in Castries and looking at Summersdale, where I live in St. Lucia, just on the outskirts by the airport. 5 minutes walk. Don't leave your house at 6 o'clock. You know what we would say? Well, this man must be a damn joker. and that is our
across the region, right?
And that is our Caribbean reaction.
Yeah.
Because our Caribbean reaction, for example, we don't look at going to demonstrate against wearing a mask for COVID. No. We don't go about demonstrating because we don't like this government. Yes, we may go on demonstrate 1 day, 2 days, but that's about it. We don't demonstrate for years or months or what have you.
No.
But in our, like I said, in our jovial attitude, we are still serious. We still want the things to go forward.
Yes. They're saying in Barbados, the most serious things come out in jokes.
Right.
Sure, right.
What we say.
Exactly. Exactly. As Bernadette just said, we shouldn't allow anyone to take that away from us. That is who we. I mean, even here in the UK, not necessarily the jovial nature, but it's just the way how you approach issues and stuff at work, where British people might think, "Oh, you're not really taking it that serious." I'm like, "Yes, I am. It's just that my approach to it is very different.
Very different, absolutely.
To reach the same end without the stress factor that you're going through, having to take a week off, stress and all this kind of stuff, not happening here." But I see it just as important as you, So it's really important, as Bernadette was saying. Don't let anyone take that away from us. That's just who we are. That's how we look at it.
Yeah.
I'm going to imagine that over the years there must have been some very funny stories that you have either been a part of or have encountered. What about you, Cosmos? Is there anything that you can share that you think this is unforgettable?
Maybe I can talk about it.
You don't have to call any names.
But Cosmos, the best thing to do, say it in patois. I'll be the only one understanding.
Good one.
Good point.
No, but the same thing we were just talking about is that what I see about the St. Lucian people, because I've traveled to, I've been to Guyana, St. Vincent, Barbados, even as far as Jamaica, and of the, all those islands, St. Lucia is the one I decide to actually settle down in. It's a little busier than Grenada, but the people in St. Lucia, I'll tell you, they're serious about St. Lucia, very patriotic. Right, every little thing is a St. Lucia flag at this. Even when I'm doing, let's say, like I'm doing graphics and thing, somebody want a logo, they always want the colors of the flag and put the pictures, the colors of the flag. You know,
Okay.
it's always the colors of the flag. Everything
That's
is, you know, and everything is the pictures. Very patriotic. So one day I was in an argument, and you know, we had doing a little competition, and they said, look. We send you back to Grenada, you know. Well, in that case, I win by default already, because
Oh, you love
yeah,
vibes.
I win already. If that's how you want to win by sending me back. No, but the next thing is that I'll tell you, because I operate my own company now, and so I see St. Lucians as sometimes like, how should I put it? You know, like when you have a kid with a toy, all right? And the toy is there, but they're not playing with it. The moment the next child comes to play with
Someone
that
else comes
toy, yeah, and
I wanted that.
like, give me, that's mine. But it's there how many years? You're not doing anything about it. You know, I come across that sort of thing, and those little challenges. But of course, these challenges makes you stronger. Yeah, make you stronger. But yeah, I wouldn't give up St. Lucia for anything now. I hope nobody in Grenada hearing this.
As a resident ambassador based in Trinidad,
Yeah.
I'll put a good word for you if you have any problems.
All right. and the thing
What do
is,
people say? I know people in high office.
and my wife not even St. Lucian. She's from Newham, East London.
Okay.
Okay. Wow.
Her father is from St. Lucia. Now her mother, born Trinidad, grew up in Dominica. And so now,
there
so
we
now
go
we have,
again, right? True
we have a
West
son,
Indians.
and so that our son now have family in Trinidad, Grenada,
Dominica.
St. Lucia, Dominica, the UK. Yeah, man.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I see Kieran Douglas was asking any cultural faux pas that anyone has made.
Yes.
What about yourself, Marlon? Anything that you might have thought, you know,
Oops.
this is normal in Trinidad, but I come to Barbados now and people offended or we it come out wrong.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, there's. I'm trying to think of what I remember. My wife said, "No, don't say that here." I'm trying to see if I can remember something. But yeah, there's always. I mean, even now, I mean, you don't say these things here. You would offend somebody. And one of the things too is even when you go by somebody and they offer you something, just take it.
Take it.
All right, just take it. Just don't refuse anything.
Or ask for something else.
No, just take it and say thank you. I mean, I think there was a lot for me coming across. I'm just trying to see if I can recall all from the beginning. But I can remember her saying, you know, make sure those are one thing. And oh boy, kind of like a brain freeze now. But yeah, there was some things because culturally Trinidad we free spirited, casual about some things. And you find even one of the things my wife would even say up to now. So why you all always walking around in the house with your shoes on? All right? Make sure and take off your shoes.
You can't do that in Barbados, you know.
Don't do that.
As soon as you get by the front door, put them
That's
shoes in the
right.
corner.
Yeah.
In the corner there, that kind of thing.
I actually started to shiver as he talked about that. I was like,
Right. That will happen. I make a joke with some people when I go by them. I say, people get licks for that. I'm not going inside with no shoes on. So I learned that one too. But yeah, I mean, again, you try to be very mindful of the differences, and food wise too. So to me, that was one of the big things. As you know, when you go by, especially a Sunday, a plate will be put in front of you packed with food.
Yes.
Just say thank you.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just say thank you. All right.
Are you ever went looking for doubles and they say you can only have one patty?
You know what I like most, like especially when I go to Barbados, I like going to Baxter's Road for the fish. I mean, fish
Yeah.
in the evening time. Gosh, I like that. I don't
Yeah.
care what time, because whatever time you pass there, somebody cooking, somebody
Yes,
frying,
it's
or
true.
somebody picking up a fish.
Yeah.
for you.
But
And
one
that's
of
what
the
I
things,
like.
yeah, one of the things I admire too, as you say food there, Peter, oysters. You say Baxter's Road, but oysters really captured me. Going there around Easter too was a big thing, seeing the festival.
Yes, if
Yeah,
But
fish
coming
festivals.
out of that, even every weekend, what takes place in Oyston to me really blew my mind. So many different people just coming and crowding and eating and enjoying themselves stage. And you're
Yeah.
actually drinking from bottles. I mean, in Trinidad, you would never see any place with space, alcohol being served. And they're serving it in bottles like that. I mean, somebody might get a bus head. But I mean, everybody was just there, cool, calm, nice. I mean, oysters to me was one of the things that was like a little whoa, culture shock.
Let me get my Bajan friends vexed. I think they took the oyster thing
Groseley.
from Groseley.
Ah, you see.
We don't know.
I know you was gonna go there, you know.
Great St. Lucia had set the trend, and all them Caribbean islands following. But there's a uniqueness about that.
Yep,
that
yep.
that
That's the
gathering.
reason. All those are the reasons why I make me stay St. Lucia. Man.
My friend used to say, whenever you come to St. Lucia and you're looking for anybody, don't worry, Friday night, go Groseley. You must go
Groseley.
Groseley.
You find
Yeah.
that.
I went to
But it's a good
Groseley.
time.
I went Groseley
Yeah.
twice, man. It is the best thing ever. I absolutely love Groseley. I just like so many people, one spot,
Yeah.
so much happening. But
Yeah,
it's just good vibes. It's nobody, occasional things happen. That's everywhere in the world.
That's life.
But that's life. But by and large, it's just good vibes, lots of music, some serious chicken. When I used to eat meat back in the day. Don't ask this person that question.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
And you get some good chicken. Oh man, I like Groseley. So if we steal that, we won't say we steal that. You say you exported it to the region.
No, we're one Caribbean. We're one Caribbean.
That's what we're saying. Like the Trinidadians will let you know that they put the carnival out for the whole Caribbean to enjoy. But the
Yeah.
Trinidadians will also let you know at the same time, for you to enjoy the carnival their way, they have to be involved in it, even though it's outside.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. We do that too.
So
But it's definitely not stealing because it's still there.
absolutely.
Copyright.
I noticed quite a few people talking about, they would love to have this move. They would like to do it, and sometimes starting business, starting a business, or in your case, Marlon, being involved in an organization. Let's talk about business from your side, Cosmos. What was that like, actually starting up and getting going in a land where you arrived into?
No, to be honest, and when in Grenada, I was actually just running my own business, and and when I moved to St. Lucia, I was working with a company, and I said, "There's no way I could go out on my own." Because nobody in St. Lucia know me, know what I can do and this kind of thing. So I have to work with a company in St. Lucia for a while. I worked with that first company for about 2 years, then moved on to another one, worked for about 6 or 7 years. And after that, I say, all right, let me kind of test the waters and try and go out on my own. So it was kind of half. And then eventually I said, yeah, I'll make the big step. By now, I think everybody know what I do. And thanks to things like the internet and Facebook and all these other things, make it a little more easier. But still, it's a lot of word of mouth. And and they say, oh yeah, somebody who I know do web development and do television production and stuff. I think when I just arrived, there's no way I could have done that because nobody don't know me yet. Yeah.
But the path that you took, would you advise, find a reputable organization, align yourself, and just grow yourself out?
Yes, yeah. Have something that you can kind of rely on. Don't just try to just make the move, because I wasn't worried because I know, I have my skills and I know
Yeah.
I'm damn good. So and nothing could take that away from me. You know.
Yes.
But working with the company kind of with these companies kind of helped me grow a bit, you know, and get
Yeah.
to know the place, get to know the people, get to know how business operate in
Yeah.
St. Lucia, you know, because in St. Lucia, yes, it's a little faster than Grenada. When I came here, I was surprised. Banks open on Saturdays. That never happened in Grenada. Never.
No. They say in Grenada, there are two speeds: slow and dead slow.
I look Grenada already.
I got a question about Grenada. Actually, you've never been.
Yeah,
And
Grenada.
I was medium going on to medium fast, so I had to get out, I guess.
Did you find or did you feel as if there were any barriers to you growing your clientele because you were from Grenada? Did you find any of that, or did you find everyone pretty welcoming?
No, like I said, like you'll have the challenges where people will kind of be reluctant to do business with somebody on the outside, and but I love challenges. I always say my thing is bring it on. You know, it because there's an obstacle to overcome now, and something to fight for, and but yeah, I didn't find it that you know, that challenging because
Okay.
yeah.
What about connecting with other Grenadians in St. Lucia? Was that ever a thing or aspiration or joy?
Every time we meet, one set of rum drinking.
Cheap Guinness.
After all, you get a 2-for-1 Guinness.
I had to drop some of them, and I had to drop some of them. Some days I don't even want to see a Grenadian in St. Lucia. No. I run from all here now. You still come and meet me.
You remind me of my friend in Grenada, Lou Smith.
Oh yeah,
Very
Lou
good
Smith,
journalist. Very good. Brilliant.
Very
But when we used to work at Antilles, you come to Lou with management things to do, and Lou will look around at you and tell you, that'll cost you 2 guineas.
Oh yes.
As a common currency.
And it's he and the other partner, the technical fella. You bring in the station's equipment for them to fix, for the technical fella to fix, and he'll look at you and tell you 2 guineas. One for him, one for Lou. You know what I mean? And I think that's what kept, especially when you're in a foreign country, and you're in this, I like to put it as we now say in bubble, and you're in this bubble. Because when I was in Antilles, in Montserrat, I worked with a Trinidadian, Venus Garcia. I worked with a Dominican. I worked with a Barbadian. I worked with a Guyanese. I worked with people from St. Vincent, from all the islands. So you have this potpourri of culture. And on Fridays, we'd go to each other's home for a line to, just like what we have in, to lime and talk. And so you didn't feel homesickness and that type of thing. And it brought you together, and it brought this togetherness of Caribbean people. And then we always used to say, look at this. How come the politicians cannot be the way we are?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at it, when we look at how Caribbean people, look at us, for example, right here. We're on this platform, and we're sharing experiences, more or less coming together. But yet at the same time, our Caribbean leaders, even though they quote unquote say, well, we're here for you to make sure we bring you together. And I always keep telling people, listen to the words our politicians always say. We must always exploit our resources, and remember our resources are the people.
Well,
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was watching I was watching the Jamaican debates, and I don't know if it came up in the first two, but I definitely watched the one last night. And nothing about CARICOM or the region came up there. Now, I know it's a local election, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're talking about Jamaica, one of the larger islands. You're looking for potentially some leadership or something like that. And I know we have Jamaicans in the audience as well. And whenever we speak together as people, we talk about unity. but the conversation never really seems beyond a press up every now and then when the CARICOM heads a government summit or something.
Precisely.
It never seems to come to CARICOM unity and perhaps even Jamaica taking a bit more leadership as well in that and exploiting our people and resources as a region. And I always
they
wonder
haven't-
why that never happens.
Like I keep telling my Jamaican friends, I mean, I went to school, like I say, in Jamaica. I have a lot of Jamaican friends and what have you. And you ask them, what's the capital of St. Kitts? They don't know. Or what's the capital of Puerto Rico? What's the capital? Where I could get something in Miami? They know. Where I could get. So they think, just like Bahamas. Bahamas, to some extent, although they are part of CARICOM, they do not consider themselves, to some extent, a large extent, as being part of Caribbean.
Well, it depends on what's happening.
Depends.
Well, that's the case.
Exactly. When
That's
you had a
precisely
disaster,
the
they
case.
were CARICOM.
Yes.
Yeah.
But 2 months before that, they weren't. You know.
So, and that's the problem.
So Marlon, you set up some entities as well, and with NGOs and different stuff in Barbados. How did you find that experience?
Well, not necessarily set up, but being integrated into it.
Yeah.
Not a bad one. And I think being a part of reputable organization worked for me. So the people who involved in terms of solid character and personalities coming alongside them, I think that's what really worked for me. So it's not, to me, it's not hard. And you get into business, or I work with a lot of business people and see many of them could be foreigners. I think once you have the right credentials and backing and everything that you need, it's not really hard to do business for me. I think that's the experience. Once you're able to communicate well, I think you are able to successfully get it. Just like Cosmo shared too, in terms of going there and possibly working and then branching off, it was a little bit risky, and that goes with any business or anything that you'll be doing. But for Barbados, from my experience, I don't think it has been a bad one. Again, when you looking at business or you're looking at a service, once you're offering something that people need, it doesn't matter what gender or what orientation you are, people are interested in getting that problem solved. And to me, that's what I've seen going on for some people who are successfully carrying out their business. For us here at Family Heartbeat, we're primarily a counseling facility. So even now where COVID would have created a lot of tension in homes, our phone would be ringing constantly. And for us, we now have to figure out how could we probably get more people on board to help us in counseling. How do we deal with a lot of the family issues, even working within the prisons, working within the schools, and things like that. When you go and you're sung as a trainee, people in studying that, they just want to get the problem fixed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you talk there about family, which is something we haven't mentioned at all. I know we've spoken very singularly about our movement, and oftentimes movement doesn't necessarily happen with just you. You know? And it might have done, I don't know. But what was the family journey like in terms of whether you had to take family with you?
Oh no, for me, I was starting off.
Okay.
Leaving a family, 6 in a home, and from my father,
separation.
The separation part, and let's say on my father's side of the family, my grandmother had 13 children, so it's a big, close-knit family. The Charles family is big. So, I mean, every year, family reunion, a close-knit family, cousins, and that network there. That, to me, was the hardest part because I had to leave all of that. I'm an outgoing person, so a lot of friends, a lot of connections, and leaving that to come in to start new, to me, you really had to know what you were doing. So for me, it was a decision I really wanted to make.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just saying for the three of us, Mark, Andre, and myself, we're in the UK, so we feel very, very far from our family in Barbados. Do you have that same sense of distance coming from between Trinidad? Does it still feel far away?
Well, not because of technology. I mean, when I moved, that was in the day of phone cards. Communication. We didn't even have Skype. So, I mean, when we were getting married, we were talking like we had shares in TSTT because my salary was paying the phone bill all the time. I mean, when the time you spend talking. So, but now, I mean, my son speaks to my sister literally every day. So, and I don't know, at 3 years old, how he's able to unlock my my phone that needs my thumbprint to open, get into WhatsApp and call her. So I think technology
While you're
has
sleeping.
kind of knit that for us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what when you said you were gonna move to Barbados, obviously by then I guess your family already knew it was kind of probably gonna happen. What was that conversation like, and the feeling of moving to Barbados?
I guess for them it was a shock. I mean, that probably was the last thing that I would do. I mean, I was when I look
Last
back at
place on
Marlon,
earth.
then
You sure about that? You sure about that, Beijing girl?
I mean, I had a permanent job. I had a side business.
Yeah.
I love motorbikes, so yeah, I had to sell my bike. Oh, I mean, there's so much things. So for them, with me saying that I'm going to move, get married, I guess they really thought I was kind of going crazy. But yeah, it basically was the decision that I made in terms of making a transition, and that basically was it. But yes, there's you still miss, as I said, you miss food, you miss today's Sunday with the callaloo, man. so with the callaloo.
By now you should be imparting that knowledge though on how to cook these things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the biggest thing about it is getting the dashing bush. We wouldn't get the dashing bush. People
we
try
hear
to
this again.
tell you
Antigua.
Ask
Right?
Philip how to improvise. He could figure out something.
Yeah,
You know-
I was gonna say get some Chinese cabbage, but
Chinese cabbage. No.
You probably would
need
get plastic.
Real authentic callaloo. Come on. You get the okra here, but we're not getting another thing, pimento. You struggle to find pimento, but these are things you'll find like nothing when you move around Trinidad. So when you think about certain foods, I mean, on evenings when you would stop by the Doubles, man, and you buy doubles, but you stand up and you eat your doubles with your hand and thing, or you go by Richards in Maracas.
doubles is something that's really unexplored. Even there's a local Caribbean restaurant near where I live here in Manchester, and they call themselves a Caribbean restaurant. But everything on there, I tell you, you're not a Caribbean restaurant, you're a Jamaican restaurant.
Yeah,
You sell
yeah.
chicken and you sell curry goat and
Trinidadian
dumpling
food.
and
A
plantain.
dumpling.
And dumpling, yeah.
Well, I need Bernadette to tell me
Yes,
where you
absolutely.
live. I need some dashing bush, please.
Yes.
Where do you live?
We gonna hook you up.
Link me
Bernadette,
up
you need
on
to hook up with
Facebook,
Marlon.
please.
No, but I think that's one of the problems when we talk about moving across the islands and how we raise in families and what have you. You'll find, for example, as a St. Lucian, on a Sunday, you look forward to what we call lunch. You have red beans, you have macaroni and cheese, and Barbados eat macaroni and cheese every day, so that's not lunch today. But you look for
staple.
special things on a Sunday.
When you say macaroni
Your
cheese,
mother-
you mean macaroni pie.
Because macaroni
Macaroni
cheese
pie,
is
well, you see-
macaroni
Right.
cheese is something different, you know.
Macaroni cheese is
No,
something
no,
different.
Nah, the American.
No, but that's why we speak in the cultural aspect. We're speaking about culture.
In Trinidad, we say macaroni pie. In St. Lucia, is
So
macaroni.
we say macaroni and cheese.
Macaroni
know,
cheese.
so- and then you
Okay.
the macaroni and cheese because it can't just be macaroni they're giving you. So, but you look for it in the pie form or what have you.
Yeah.
And you'll find, for
You
example,
offending
I'm
many
here in
Bajans
Trinidad.
right now.
Carbs.
I agree, but for example, I'm here in Trinidad, and I cannot get past eating how you call it the spinach thing. What Marlon was talking about, the callaloo and thing.
Callaloo.
Even to wash
Uh-huh.
the plate afterwards, I just can't. I just can't fathom it. So I don't eat it. I don't know it.
Man.
And I miss my callaloo here in St. Lucia.
You
I
miss
can't find callaloo at all. You know?
I know.
Yeah.
We bring up a different issue there, actually. This is a good point that even as we move across the region, we're not taking some of our cultures and stuff
Yeah.
with us.
Precisely. That's what
Why,
I mean.
why are we leaving it behind? Like Bernadette says, she planted her own. One of the things that you see here in the UK is that you can walk down any high street and you'll see a Polish shop.
Yeah.
And they're importing their stuff from Poland. Or you might find an Indian shop or a Turkish or what have you. Because as people move, they bring their businesses, import their foods and what's not, and introduce their foods
Into the
where
culture.
where they are, in
Yep.
the culture they are. But that interesting point you were saying, Marlon, that doesn't seem to be happening in many
No.
Trinidadians.
But you
in-
see,
in Barbados.
I a little disagree with it sometimes because when you move, I more want to embrace their culture. I think it's like trying to eat my cake and have it too. I move away from it, and now I still want to have it as I move. You know, so I rather try to learn and get accustomed to the new things, the new culture. Yeah, okay, fine. If I want my callaloo, I'll go back to Grenada and I'll step for the squid.
No, but that's part of identity. But that's part of identity. That's why, for example, you could say in London, you go to a street in London, where it's an Indian store, you'll see things, or the Jamaicans will have all things Jamaican.
Yeah,
but that's part that even though you come into St. Lucia and you're assimilating yourself into the culture of St. Lucia, you're also thinking that, hey, I also want my own part home. I also want to eat my as well. Even though you have your whatever you're eating on for example, the Dominicans would like broth. I mean, kill them, give them the fish and the how do you call it, green fig and what have you. Because that's them.
That's their thing.
So no matter wherever they go, they will want it as well.
But it's also about helping spreading the culture.
The culture.
Culinary culture
Yeah.
across the region as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the same soil relatively. So what grows in Trinidad and what grows in St. Lucia, I'm sure it can grow in Barbados. But it's not happening. So
now we're probably growing apples. Sorry, golden apples. In
golden
St. Lucia.
apples. Yeah, you got to you know, but that's an interesting point, because I think even when you go further afield, you see a similar thing happen. And Mark, Philip, you guys can probably tell me in that when you go to even West Indian communities further afield, we don't bring it with us.
No.
No.
Can I say something, and it might be a little bit touchy? It's an observation I made when it comes to this.
But
when
is
it
what we
comes
do.
to African people, I believe that's something that it's a problem with us. Look at Trinidad primarily. We have embraced a lot of things that came from the Indo people.
Okay.
And the food, all of these different things. Yes, we do have some African, but you would find that they've hold on to it, and we have not tried to really keep what's ours. So we move, we transcend, and we adopt, but we never try to really hold on to what's ours. So to me, I think that's one of the things that we have with our people. We don't try to hold on to some traditional things. But you work to spend time with East Indian people, you would find that that's their life, that's their culture. And I think that's something we have to examine in terms of how we pass on our heritage or even certain family traditions to the next generation.
Yeah, pass on and pass around.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Even as Indians and stuff integrate, they also hold on.
Yeah, because it looked like, for example, in Trinidad, you'd come to Trinidad, you go to a house where East Indian would have a house. You'd see in the backyard 4 other houses, and as members of the family in there. If you go to an African quote unquote Trinidadian house, you don't see that. You see they want to live their nest, go out and
build their own.
Yeah, go and build on their own. But the East Indian would want to say, hey, we're making sure you have a roof over your head one way or the other, or what have you. And that's one of the problems.
So do you guys try to get home often? And I'm using home there very loosely, because I know sometimes you can establish home in another island, but you still always have the yearn. You know, how often do you get back?
Well, what I had liked before COVID, I mean, my job would take me throughout the Caribbean, and especially when my mother was alive, I would make sure whether I'm going to Barbados, whatever it is, the flight has to pass through St. Lucia. So at least I'm still home, and sometimes I go home for maybe a week, 2 weeks, and then come back, but not long. I find what I have found living in so many different islands, that St. Lucia is not really home to me per se. I identify fully as a St. Lucian. No two ways about it. I am fully St. Lucian. But then when I go home, it's like, okay, there 2-3 days, that's enough. Let me move back on. Let me go on. You know what I mean? And the same thing when I go to Barbados and then place. After around 3 months, 2 months, I say, okay, had enough of that. Let's move on. Same thing, Jamaica and them places. So I identify with St. Lucia fully, passport and all.
patriotic.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
No, I don't go back to Grenada as often as I would like. When I just came, every 2 years I'll go back to Grenada, and then from 2010, yeah, I did like a good 7-year stretch, and I went back in 2017 for about 3 weeks. Yeah, but I think a visit back to Grenada is long overdue. Grenada, I'm coming this Christmas.
Is the price of the Guinness that keeping you away? Huh?
Nah, Guinness gone up so long.
You're
Guinness
gonna
more
got
than the
a
price in
few in
Grenada
now.
What I would like to ask also in the discussion, for example, we talk about eating one another's food and what have you. I could remember when I first went into Dominica. Before that, I used to hear this thing about mountain chicken, and people say it was frog. So I said, well, there's no way this boy eating frog. There's no way.
This is not the chickens running around in Barbados.
Precisely, no way under God's earth I'm eating mountain chicken because it's frog. And then one day I went to somebody's house and they said, you want some soup? I said, yes. They give me soup and your boy ate. And then they said, you want some more? I said, yes. And I ate. And then they look at me afterwards and they said, and yes, when you finish, say you don't eat mountain chicken.
Oh,
boy. And now I could eat mountain chicken as anything because now I understand what it is. You know what? But there are some countries where you go to and you hear people say, boy, I could never eat this type of food. That type of food, especially mountain chicken is the one that hit me. I don't know if you fellas had that type of experience of eating other people. Because I mean, I watch TV and see people eating insects, some other things, and I would say, not for hell. I go touch that in my mouth. You know what I mean?
I went to Dominica about 3-4 times and never get the chance to eat the mountain chicken. Yeah.
No, it's a delicacy.
Yeah.
So,
I've never tried it actually, but I'm like you, Pete. I've always said not me.
but
But the opportunity hasn't presented itself for me to try it. So
It might be coming.
I don't know, Andre and Mark, do you guys remember? I think it might have been St. Vincent where we went, and there was a iguana. Somebody caught an iguana and give it to us and say, "Yeah, you guys can cook that."
nah.
We never cooked it. I don't know what happened to it, but I know it never got cooked.
You understand? I could tell you what I know my response was.
I wasn't there.
I guess the presentation would have probably had they cooked it and given it to you in a presentation, some nice way. You probably would have ate it, lick your fingers, finger licking good.
I probably would
if they
try
had
it
cooked
now.
it and prepared it, but
Yeah.
give it to me raw and tell
You
me
don't
to
know
cook
what to do with it.
I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. I ain't doing nothing with it. I know what to do it. Give it back. Which is against Barbados rules, but in this case, I would.
you need to spend some time in Trinidad.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
I need to, you know.
Let Peter handle you, man. Like,
No.
Lap, map, tap.
I have a friend in Trinidad, Wesley Gibbons. Lord, I don't know how he survives, how he lives, or what have you. We could live here to go now to town, and he must pass wrong the savannah because he has to eat this, what they call it, lambi, oysters, and them. And I'm saying, boss, this is thing they get at the end of the river. They don't cook it, they don't do nothing, and you just eating the say, and he said, man, you must try that. And I said, no, thank you. and you see people line up for them type of things, and I say, yeah, I'll eat the doubles now and then, but the others, no.
But the cultural differences, you know, is what makes us, you know, the Caribbean people that we are. Absolutely. And I wonder if you guys see people following your path, whereas you have, you know, you guys have gone there, you've done it. Do you talk to your friends who are, you know, thinking about doing it,
but afraid.
but afraid to do it? Because as Caribbean people, you know, we are happy to move extra regionally, but always seem to ask more questions when it comes to moving next door. Do you have those conversations with friends who might be thinking about doing it?
A lot of my friends tend to say, why I not live in St. Lucia to go to Grenada? What for? Particularly when you look at, let's say, the standard of living. And that's one of the things. That's why most of them tend to want to go to London, to New York, Miami, and these places. Or unless if you're going to a Bahamas or Trinidad or let's say Barbados, where the standard of quote unquote standard of living is considered to be bigger or much healthier than let's say in St. Lucia or what have you. But most of them, and I think what is also working is that we are now in this technological world. Where you don't have to travel as such to see the realities. So you see the realities happening. Before you could say Jack Robinson, it's already on your computer, on your WhatsApp, and what have you. So you say, boy, many people tell me, boy, I don't know how you live in Trinidad. Look at how them killings. Look at every day you.
Right.
There's a joke I like to give my friends. Hey, the other day, some years ago, in St. Lucia, some Rastafellers entered the Roman Catholic Church and killed one, I think, a priest and somebody. And oh gosh, my Trini friends killing me. Boy, this is how all you're doing, boy, all you're killing priests and things. And you know Trinis, when you see a Trini start to hit you, he really hitting you. And so I said, I don't mind. That will make news in my country for the whole year. I don't mind. Look, I got up this morning and I put on the radio at 6:30. They killed somebody in Laventille. Time for 7 o'clock. The person they killed in Laventille no longer in the news because somebody else get killed in this. And somebody else, and they keep quiet.
So there's that.
But even as you say that,
some people moving.
Huh?
There's that inherent fear when they see that of moving.
Yeah,
to
because that's
Trinidad,
what
they
they say. Because when you, for example, look at Trinidad, Jamaica. I mean, people say Jamaica, if all the crime and everything. I went to school there and everything. I only went downtown once, and that was for me to go to Central Bank in Jamaica to change currency. And when I was leaving Mona, the warden on the campus said, when you go on the bus, don't speak, don't open your mouth. You're going to come out at the bus stop just outside the Central Bank. Press the button, come out, and stay inside the bank. The bus will come, you'll see it, run out.
Wow.
And go on the bus and come back out.
Yeah.
And then that's the fear they give you. You know what I mean?
But listen, why do we create that fear factor amongst ourselves? There are probably more people being killed in New York and Miami and elsewhere across and London. Why do we look at ourselves and think we can't go to Kingston because of the fear factor, but we'll go to London?
Okay. Let me give you a perfect example. I'm from St. Lucia, Cosmos. What's his name? Marlon, sorry. From Grenada.
No, Cosmos from Grenada.
Sorry, Cosmos from Grenada. I know I was right. And in a year, we probably would have, let's say, like 10 murders, 15 murders for a year. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's 1 day in Trinidad. That's 2 days in Trinidad. That's 3 days in Jamaica. So you're fearful.
Yeah.
That's a culture and that's a reality that you will never get accustomed to. I mean, when I tell people I don't go liming in Trinidad, if somebody kill me, they'll come in my house and kill me or kill me at work. Yeah, it's because of this whole. I mean, you're driving in St. Lucia and a partner stop you. Yo, where you going? You stop your car. You don't. A fellow put out his hand in Trinidad, you probably will break his hand driving.
But it's mad because I remember, when I was in Barbados and I used to work at a bank and we had to do projects in Jamaica and I would always refuse to go because it was banking projects that always had to happen at like 2 o'clock in the morning. You're going from branch to branch to upload software and ATMs and that kind of stuff. And I would say, no. I went to Bahamas. I went to different places. But whenever Jamaica come around, I say, I'll do that remotely. That's fine.
I think we have to still break that stigma, though.
Yeah, we got to break it.
We have to break it. We have to break it. But social media is not allowing us to break it easily. Because
that was
highlight more negative than the positive.
As we speak there, you're seeing every Tom, Dick, and Harry on WhatsApp saying, "Boy, you saw what happened." Look at this, and before you could say what happened, the pictures follow. And when you see gruesome pictures and what have you, you're saying, "Boss, leave me in St. Lucia, leave me in Dominica, leave me and them type of places." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it feels as though, like Mark had mentioned, people still go to New York, and the reason
Yeah,
people
yeah.
still go to New York is because
Economic reasons.
Well, I also think because the nice parts of New York, like Broadway and so on, are talked about as well. They get
Yeah.
their place in the media. And
Yeah.
maybe that's what we need in the Caribbean. We also
Yes.
need to be highlighting,
Yeah.
here's
But-
stuff that does not make the news. Here's
But this
the
comes back
everyday
to-
beautiful things.
Yeah,
Like
and
putting
I
it
think-
out in Barbados, I heard Bernadette mention.
I
by
think
the way.
cinema and television has a lot to do with that.
For
of
sure.
Seeing an alternative to what you might be seeing in the news.
Yeah.
You know, but we're not getting cinema that's showing an alternative of Jamaica or Trinidad, or
Yeah.
television programs
No.
that are showing an alternative.
Yeah.
So many people still view going to LA as bold and beautiful or young and restless in a sense.
Yeah.
They still think that that's where 90% of the people are. So they
Then when you
go
see the
out-
slums of LA,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You go
They-
to
they
San
never show that,
Francisco,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
go to
constantly
San
on TV,
Francisco.
you wouldn't go.
Exactly.
When
Yeah.
I was there a few years ago, the amount of homeless people I saw was I honestly
Yeah.
did not expect it. But that's not what you see coming at you all the
In,
time.
in the media, yeah.
Yeah, in
No.
the media. So I think
Absolutely.
that's why it's important to cultivate that whole cinema, television industry across the region. And so we start to see true images of ourselves, because honestly, the murders and what's not is not the norm,
No.
so to speak,
Yeah.
but
No.
it's what makes the news,
those
that
are the
kind of thing.
spikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what is being highlighted. Yeah,
Exactly. So, Marlon, I think Mark was asking as well advice that you might have for people thinking about moving.
Yes.
Based on your experience, what would you say to, Trini thinking of moving to Barbados or what's not, or vice versa, actually?
Well, honestly, it's what you're looking for. For me, I wanted to step down, slow down this pace I was going at, and Barbados would allow for that. I have a Trini friend who lives here. I mean, he used to real cry down a lot. He going back home. I remember last year he went back to Trinidad. He couldn't wait to come back to Barbados, right? So for me, if you want that slow pace, you want the easygoing life, you want, to me, you want to raise a family. To me, this is comfortable for me. Another role I play, I travel the Caribbean a lot, so you get to experience again from Bahamas to Belize. And to me, there are some countries, if you want to live a certain type of life, you move there. You want to have access. You want to live in the New York of the Caribbean, go Jamaica or go Trinidad. You get everything. You get all the fast foods. You get whatever you want. So what you're looking for in life, you decide. To me,
Yeah.
there's a Caribbean island you would
Yeah.
find it at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
don't be
Oh,
afraid
yeah.
to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my parents. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm here, but I still not too fearful because where we live and what my parents are involved in, I don't think I'm going to get that phone call to say they were involved in some gunfight. But you mainly find when you're in crime, it's people who are involved in it are really the ones caught up most of the time. So whether it's Jamaica, whether it's Trinidad, you find
Yeah.
that's predominantly taking place. So there should be no fear in moving. If you want to explore somewhere, you might be skilled in a particular area and there might be a deficit for it in St. Lucia or Grenada. Come on, take it there. I think that's
Yeah.
what's going to make us better. So like now, we spoke about some things there. So if you're into farming, come to Barbados and open a dashing farm. We just give you an idea for business.
I was just saying. I was saying we gave that for free just now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People,
Yeah.
what
So-
they could be doing.
So we have so many people who coming out of the medical field in Trinidad and in the other larger islands. Why not migrate to a smaller island where you can have the opportunity to really practice your skill? So we need to have an open mindset. And what I would say to the politicians also have to make sure they're true to their word. So if we're talking about one Caribbean, let's make it one Caribbean. Let's
Put the
cultivate
mechanisms in
that.
place.
Yeah, put the mechanism in place, but also we must make sure that culture trickles down. So they need to live it out, so we
Yes.
can see it, and then we
Yeah.
would just continue to carry the torch. I think that's simple, but we
I-
need our politicians to take their roles seriously and really make it one Caribbean.
I agree.
I think I was getting some links there from the Trinidadians on the quote unquote on the
In the comments. I told you we could just leave you to the comments.
Go in and say an exaggeration, but in all reality, I like I said, when you look at, let's say, places like St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, where you have 17 murders in a year. You don't have 17 murders in a year in Trinidad. or you don't have it in Jamaica. You have that in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I don't think I was being exaggerating the point that crime and murder is something that people, because if you're moving, regardless of whether you're moving for economic or other reasons, you're also moving for safety reasons as well. You take into consideration, I am moving with my family. Chances are I am going to go to work, as Andre was saying. I may have to go to the bank to set up things 2 o'clock in the morning. And I want to know that it is safe, quote unquote, to leave my family. And that's one of the issues.
Yeah, I think the thing there, as I was saying, is we hear one thing. What's that? You almost
No, the Trinidadians will not leave me out.
In 10 years, when we have
They say they
tactile
could
technology,
shake me
you'll
up.
be in trouble.
The Trinidad, but I know for sure. Here's one asking me, do I feel unsafe in Trinidad? But I've made my position clear. I don't go to places where I probably would feel unsafe as in any other. If I come to, when I was in London and them places, I don't go places where I would feel I am unsafe and what have you. But the records are there. St. Lucia would probably have 17 murders. Barbados is making a problem of having 30-something murders. As far as Barbados is concerned, that is too high.
It is. But then when you compare populations as well,
Yeah,
Trinidad
regardless
is
of whether you
1.4 million.
Yes.
But that is not the point. The point is somebody in St. Lucia, and I've heard it from my friends
is where you're
all
coming
over in the
from.
Caribbean. My friends are saying, "Boy, I'm not coming to Trinidad because hey, they killed 450 people last year, 400 people the year before." But they are accustomed, whether or not they live with 10 people in St. Lucia, of having 5 murders or 10 murders. They do not have hundreds.
Yeah,
But
the
listen,
point is that
that's
in
the
the
point.
society, it is an anomaly overall in the society.
Yeah.
But it's the news that gets out about
Yeah.
that society
Yes,
is
absolutely.
all one thing. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's the point I was making as well. And that's why it's important that we start to do cinema and television shows, what's not about ourselves.
Yes.
Otherwise, the only thing we're consuming is news. And
Yeah.
the unfortunate thing about news is that 90% of news is
It's bad news.
Yes, and
and
we've got to be
That's the
really
thing.
careful. We've got to be really careful, because when you guys talked about why you move from one island to another, at no point did crime rate get raised. I mean, we only just descended into this conversation
Yeah.
about it, but
That was not an issue at all.
nobody
Yeah,
sits down and say,
yeah.
"Let me see how much people in Trinidad get killed last week before I decide to move." It doesn't
No.
generally.
You want to know how much money you're going to
generally
make?
It
You wanna know how
doesn't
many-
generally happen that way. It
you
might
know
be
how
it
many
might be a
carry-
factor, but I don't think it generally happens that way. To be fair to the people in the
But I'll
comments.
be honest, when I had the projects in Jamaica, yes, that come into my mind. And this is
It
before
has-
social media. But again, the news you were hearing out of Jamaica all the time at the time was around murders, nothing else, unfortunately. But I think, but now we can seek out other news, and I think this is the role that we need to play amongst ourselves to
Yes.
start to bring other news to the fore about
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yes.
Otherwise, we start believing what other people say about
People are
us,
saying
because
about
they're
us, yeah.
also
About us, yeah.
they're also only reporting the bad news.
Yeah.
Or when things are going a bit awry, or when elections seem to have
Yeah.
a bit of an issue. Then all of a sudden, Guyana is known now for an issue they had in elections a couple of months ago. You saw reports in India about the Trinidad elections recently where doubt is being raised about it. So we got to stop letting people, create a narrative about
That's
us
right.
and start creating our own narrative.
Absolutely, and take hold of it, because it can very easily get away from us. And I was reading an article in one of the Caribbean newspapers today, and there was a lady who was stuck on one of the islands over the course of COVID. And, she never mentioned anything about crime, but what she mentioned was the friendly people, the beautiful beaches, and being able to walk every day and feeling at peace, as opposed to being in the United Kingdom. So I think
Yes.
sometimes as Caribbean people, we give ourselves too hard a time.
Too hard a time.
And we don't try hard enough to change the narrative. About ourselves. We just default to say, well, there's too much murders over there, so I'm not going. We got to arrest that and move. Sorry for the pun. And move.
Agreed.
I agree.
It's a sociological issue.
So Cosmos,
It is.
give me a pitch for moving to St. Lucia. What would you tell people about St. Lucia?
Well, they say St. Lucia is the land of that's where you come for honeymoon. All right.
Sweet.
I haven't had my honeymoon yet, but I
But,
must.
but, but I don't understand if you're in St. Lucia and that's where they come for honeymoon.
Well, I'm having a honeymoon every day.
Exactly.
Come on, give us the pitch.
Let
Come
me tell you
on.
something, I'll be honest. When I came to St. Lucia, this is the first Caribbean island I've seen so many women with big behinds. Seriously. Seriously. I've never seen so many. All the other islands. Yeah. No. Yo.
I was not expecting that.
No.
The biggest behinds I've ever seen around the Caribbean.
No.
St.
We
Lucia.
certainly,
My
we
man
certainly
just
can have
throw
you.
curveball soda.
Phil,
No, we-
Phil, that is what you call starting outside leg and hitting off.
Peter, you agree with me, right? You agree with me, right?
No.
Look, if that's your thing, that's your truth, that's your truth. But if that,
You wear glasses?
that was
Maybe
a
I
googly. That was a googly. I expected the ball to
Yeah.
turn one way, and it just went completely the other way.
The mountains, Grosley, the clear waters, you know. And look at where my man land. But anyway, we will take it for what it is. Marlon,
That's absolutely hilarious. Absolutely
Oh, boy.
hilarious. So that's
what's your pitch for people to move to Barbados, Marlon?
Man, let me address for those people who say Barbados is expensive. It is relative. So you could compare that. To me, the inflation in Trinidad too is high when you're looking at the exchange rate. But people living here, people surviving nicely. I will welcome people to come to one of the most progressive islands in the Caribbean. Barbados is beautiful. It is relatively safe, one of the safest, and beautiful beaches, island wide. And I love the initiative the government is taking in terms of going green. To me, that's one of the biggies here with the 33 buses, electric buses that was added to the fleet and some of the initiative that's going on. I love it here. To me, it's a place if you're looking to kind of take it easy, raise a family, have a bit of both worlds, not too fast, not too slow. To me, Barbados is the place to come to.
Wow.
Excellent.
Wow.
Okay.
And
me get
Peter,
over
now
that.
I don't even know how to introduce this, but what is the pitch for TNT?
Double.
No. Like I said before, the fact is, I always consider myself to be originalist. I mean, like I said, I could remember when I was living in London and Crosskill said, "Why don't you stay and work at BBC? You get a job." And I said, "No, I always consider myself, whether it's in St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, wherever you, I want to make my own contribution to the Caribbean." And probably that's why I work with a regional organization that I consider myself this regionalist, this person who sees the best for the Caribbean. And coming to Trinidad, yes, it has its ups, its downs, just like St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, and what have you. I think one of the high points I like in Trinidad is the health sector. That, you could, unlike some of the islands where if you get some particular illness, that is it for you. But a case in Trinidad, at least you have the choice of going to one or two or three specialists and getting an opinion. So to me, all that factors in. Comes in as well.
Wow.
Well, guys, it's been great. And to our audience as well, thank you guys for staying with us for the last 2 hours or so. And we saw the comments, and thank you. You were active in there. And to the Trinidadian guys, please allow Peter in.
Forgive him. Forgive him.
Oh,
If they don't allow me in, I'll remember why.
I love Peter in when he comes back. But look, I think conversations like these are always great to have,
Yes.
As I said before, let's not let other people own the narrative about ourselves. Let's own it ourselves and let's talk about it. The good and the bad, because there's good and bad everywhere. you know, and the Caribbean, in my opinion, is one of the best places in the world, if not the best. So
Yes.
we're not letting anyone own a narrative to tell us we're not. And that's why we have conversations like this. So, guys, it's been fantastic having a conversation with you guys.
was,
And just
indeed.
hearing about what it was like moving to another Caribbean country, coming from your own and your experiences and stuff. So, really want to thank you guys for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Most
Awesome.
welcome.
Awesome.
Great.
It was
Thanks.
Great being
really,
here.
really good.
Enjoy.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that was great, guys. That was a
Yeah.
good conversation.
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and you can see, you know, the conversation about moving across the region means a lot to people, and trying to understand the barriers and the challenges and the similarities. You know, it
Yeah.
means a lot to people.
The thing that I always think about is I do enjoy the national pride that each island has and the peculiarities of each island.
But nothing wrong with
And
that.
yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't want to see that lost in becoming regional and one mind. Yes, it's nice if we could start to grow Dasheen in Barbados a bit more. Be just another thing to explore. But it is nice that each island has its almost this special thing that makes it what it is.
No, I completely agree with that. You know, my view is that I don't think coming together more, it means that you lose your individuality. And if anything else, actually, I think it helps you grow it, even as you're working closer together. I mean, I see that even with the European Union.
Absolutely.
Even as they come closer together, you still see the individuality of each country. And actually, it helps you to realize actually how you can capitalize on it, but within a wider region where there are no barriers, or where
Yes.
the barriers are substantially removed. So
Yeah.
that actually helps with that, actually. So, but I
Yeah.
agree with you on keeping the individual even within the common region perspective.
Yeah,
There's still,
There's something beautiful about
identity.
it.
Yeah, there's still identity that has to be recognized. You know, you don't want to lose who you are as a nation, but at the same time, you have a role in participating in something bigger. And how we find the right balance, I think, is important, because this whole regional conversation, this whole issue of how people move around and whether they have the appetite for it, is something that is going to continue well across the Caribbean.
I agree, Rhoda. I agree. We need to get Callaloo moving across the region.
The great Callaloo movement. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
boy.
completely agree with that.
There-
I completely.
There's something in it.
I think so. I think there's a lot in it. But look, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great. Guys, we saw all your comments. Roslyn, Avril, we saw your comments. Kieran Reed, Rhoda, thank you for joining us there. Hyacinth, thanks again. And everyone who took the time to put comments in and just have a conversation. I know there's probably a whole other show going on in the comments. So I can't wait to read all of them. And we'll get to it and we'll answer them as well. Look. Invite your friends. Invite 10, 15, 20 of your friends to come into We Global, and let's continue these Caribbean conversations. Because I think the more we have these conversations, the more we learn about each other. But as I said before, it's us controlling the narrative about us. You know, so it's us having a conversation about us. You know, and that's a good thing. You know, let's stop letting other people tell us who we are. We know who we are, so let's talk about it. And let's get this regional thing going, because I think there's so much that we can gain if we come closer together. And we need to let our politicians know a bit too.
Sure.
So just want to tell everyone, so thank you so much for joining us. You know, until next time.
All right.
Oh, that was good.
Yep.
Peter must be packing now.
Oh, no. You done